the grand finale, the championship final of the Final Four. Bob, what were your thoughts on the two semifinal games this yesterday?
Well, they kind of went the way I thought. I mean, Purdue did win. I didn't think NC State was going to. I do like NC State center, but nobody's as good as the center that is on Purdue. Edie was too much. They didn't play tremendous, but they played good enough to beat NC State. If they do that against UConn, though, they're gonna have to really step it up. And the other game, well, I did say, not for nothing, but Bama's got the best offense in the nation. And if they, if Connecticut doesn't play good Team D, they can beat them. But Connecticut went out there in the second half and shut them down because in the first half they didn't. They shot 70% from three. And that game was close. And I think the biggest turning point was 56 all, and the referees. That was the worst officiating I've seen since the Steelers against the Seattle Hawks in Seahawks in the Super Bowl. If that game wasn't, I don't want to say the word fixed, but I'll say the word fixed because it's my show. Then I don't know what was, because they were getting fouled every single time. That one play when it was 56 all, the jump ball that should have been called that wasn't, and then 2 seconds later, they called the N1 because Connecticut got the ball, and they went up for a layup and they got fouled. It changed the whole game, and then they hit threes, and then Bama really could never recover. And whenever Bama came close, it seemed like that whistle blew. I mean, how do you go to the foul line? Like, it was 15-5 at one point. They only went like 5 times, Alabama. Everything was going Connecticut's way with the calls. And refs can change a game. And at the end, if you look at this stat, you think, oh, well, the fouls were even. Yeah. Once the game's over, a ref can just go, uh-oh, they're getting, I don't want them to suspect. So I'll just start calling fouls when it doesn't matter no more. It matters when the ref calls a foul, not how many they call, because they dictate the flow of the game, just like they do in baseball. When they don't call a strike three, next pitch, boom, guy hits a home run, just like they do in football when they look the other way, when it's pass interference and they won't call it. These guys, they're very well trained in what they do, and what they're doing maybe should be looked at a little closer, needless to say.
Well, what stood out to me along with that jump ball, Bob, was those two plays that the guy Nelson for Alabama went right to the hole against Klingon,
Yeah.
and he threw that dunk and then that layup.
He got hit right in the face.
Total full contact,
Yeah.
obvious foul, and won both of them.
Yeah.
Huge turning points. Those two
Right.
non-calls and the non-jump ball call, major. That basically ended Alabama's chance to retake the momentum.
Right. Right. I know what you're talking. How can that not be an N1? He got hit in the face when he went to dunk. And there were like two other plays right at the same time where the players were, they kept getting hit in the face. And the ref just looked the other way. And I was just like, this guy, he's got a heavy bet on Connecticut. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Because, like, you can't be making those kind of mistakes in a Final Four game. That's too big a game. And that makes me wonder. I would have him investigated. I would. All of the whole crew, in fact, because hopefully we're going to get ratings because of what I'm saying. Because the truth is the truth, and we tell the truth here. And that was bogus, and they make excuses. And if you get too close to the ref, and they do this in the NBA, they'll fine you. The ref, like the NBA, is actually telling the players to be quiet now and not say anything. Why? Because I think they're all in on it together. They're all making a buck, and they don't want you getting in their way. It's almost like a bullying tactic. Shut up or else. It's like the mob. That's what the mob does. So, to me, it's just, I don't like it at all, Rob. Not at all. And I'm not saying Connecticut isn't good and they can't win, because they can. But it's hard enough to beat them. It's impossible to beat them and the rest together. So there's just no excuse for it. And I understand. You know what I thought was funny? I was watching the Iowa UConn girls game, and the Iowa fans felt they were getting hosed by the ref. And one lady was sitting next to me, stood up and went, of course they're going to get the call. Connecticut gets all the calls. And this is the girls, not even the boys. So I'm like, see, Rob, we always know our favorite players. Like, I'm a Celtic fan. So I'll be the first to admit the Bird got a lot of calls. But you know what? Getting a call is one thing. being cheated something else. And I don't know. There's a fine line there. So, it was disgusting. As far as the game went, I was right. Bama stayed in that game because they could shoot. They had the best chance to beat them, and they couldn't do it because Connecticut is too good, too deep. They can beat you a lot of ways, and they did. And we all picked UConn. I'm sorry, yeah, UConn, and we're all the three of us were right. Our third partner, my brother, is not here yet, but I'm sure he's coming. I assume so anyway. But yeah, like it's just it's just like I said, they're too deep, and that's why I went to see them at the Big East tournament. I wanted to see what they were like, and I did. And they're just monsters. And I saw them in the NCAA tournament in Brooklyn as well. I went. So yeah, and this is why. Like they're just off the chart stuff. And that Spencer kid is amazing. How many rebounds, tough rebounds with four guys around him did he get in that paint? That was unreal. He's great.
Yeah, UConn is really poised, Bob. I mean, this
Yep.
team,
Yep.
they don't, the pressure doesn't get to them when things, this wasn't their best game.
Right.
They didn't let the adversity, the tightness of the game, wear them down at all.
Right. Right.
And, they wore out Alabama, officiating controversy aside, when it counted at the end, they pulled away and I predicted double digit win.
Right.
It turned out that way.
It was
Alabama
that
did
way
give them
late,
the
but the
best.
whole game was close.
The whole game was close. I
Yeah.
agree. I mean,
Yeah.
Alabama gave them the best game of the tournament so far, no
Yeah.
doubt about it. So,
Yes.
which to your credit, you did predict. So, kudos to you, my friend.
Thank you.
But I think looking at the broader topic of officiating, these guys these guys are not technically full timers, right? There's still officials that do other things. They have other jobs when it comes to collegiate officiating. It's not like the NBA where they're full time salary guys, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They probably would have been better off just to go into the broom closet and start sweeping the floor as compared to being the ref and using the whistle because it was just yeah you can't miss those calls, you just can't. And um I'm surprised Bama hasn't complained about it, but um I'm sure a lot of Bama fans are pretty mad about it. I'm sure of that. um but that's just terrible. I don't like to see that. Just let them determine it on the court, not with the referees. But you can't take away what UConn is, and they're great. Like they can beat you so many ways, and it's going to be number 6, Rob. I know it's killing you. I'm not overjoyed either. I don't want them. I'm hoping Purdue wins. Do I think they're going to? No. But would I like to see it? Sure, that'd be nice for them. They never won it, so sure, I'd love to see it.
Well, Purdue, frankly, Bob, was fortunate that they got the regressive version of NC State that we saw for most of the regular season. I thought their strategy against Purdue was terrible on offense, at least, because they were dominating with the inside out game with Burns. And I felt they got too in love with the perimeter and it was just chuck, chuck, chuck again.
Mhm.
And when they did get it inside, there was success, but they went away from it. Burns even went to the bench. Some of the coaching decisions weren't too sound, in my opinion.
Right.
And Purdue was practically giving that game away for most of it. They were turning the ball over seemingly every other possession, Bob, and stripping Edey, and he was good, but Purdue did not look like a championship caliber team to me. It was
No,
just
they
NC
didn't.
State was
I
the
mean,
was the kind of borderline 500 program we saw during the year.
right. North Carolina State was sandwiching him from two sides. He was like the meat in the middle of the two bread slices. They were trying to keep Edey from doing what Edey does. Sometimes it works, sometimes it didn't. He's so big and strong. Once he gets, what he's great on? He jabbarred them to death. Once he got that ball, he just turned around. He's so big, and when you get that big like he is, he's well over 7 feet. You get less afraid to take shots, and you get confident no matter who's guarding you and where you're playing, and that shot's going to go in. And I noticed when they were getting him that ball, he just stepped in that paint, took that little curl move, and flipped it in. And there's nothing. He jabbarred them to death, is what he did. And when you know nobody's going to block your shot or stop you, it's almost like playing by yourself. You're real comfortable. You're real confident. and that's what he was. And that's pretty much how they didn't win. That, and I knew Cinderella's midnight was about to hit, with all due respect to Cinderella, and it makes the tournament a whole lot of fun. They don't go home with Prince Charming. They go home without a glass slipper. I mean, that's it. They don't win it all. They just don't. You
I
know,
mean, they won 9 straight, Bob, and this was a team that had
right,
no business being in the tournament until they
right,
won the ACC tournament.
right.
Eventually, like I agree, it was bound to happen.
Mm-hmm. I just thought
I
it was gonna,
thought I thought if it was the NC State we saw in a couple of the other games, like against Duke, I think they could have beaten Purdue,
right.
but it just wasn't meant to be. That they regressed and it showed. But Purdue has to clean up those turnovers to have any chance against UConn, Bob,
Mm-hmm.
because they were really sloppy with the ball.
And Connecticut pressures you. The defense did. You know what I thought was interesting in the beginning of the game? If you listen to the announcer, he said when Connecticut lost in the tournament a few years ago, they were all defense. And Hurley decided we need some offense. And how long, I'm a big offensive player. I love offense, and how I think our UCLA coach can make and Ben Howland too, because he never played offense. Any coach that plays only defense should take a lesson from that because you got to score to win, no matter what the game is. Doesn't matter what game you're playing or what sport you're playing. But when he did that and he got players in there to shoot, he kept the D. You can have a great offense and not sacrifice your defense if you play it in the biggest moments of the game. You could do both, and people think you can only do one and not the other. That's not true. Defense is just willful work. Offense is talent. All you got to do is want to be a good defensive player and work at it, and you can do it. Offense is not that easy. It's hard to be that talented. So you got to go find the players that are, and then you make everybody play hard on D. And that's where Hurley is really being a great coach. Because I told you at the game I was at the end of the game, they're up by 30 in Brooklyn, and the ball's loose, and that Spencer kid runs across half court and dives on the floor and slides out of bounds with the ball in his hand. And the game was only 2 minutes left, and they're up by 30. He's in there playing hard. They never let up. And that's just hard work on defense. That you're taught, no matter how good or bad a player you are. But offense, no, that you have to have. And he went out and found the players that had it. Yeah, he went through the portal. He stole somebody from Rutgers, their best player, but he did it. And that's how every coach should do it. And he knows his X's and O's, which is also big. He's a great coach.
I mean, also, UConn doesn't play me ball; they play team ball, and
Right.
that was my
Right.
criticism of my team, Syracuse, this year.
Right.
There
Yeah.
was too much ISO, too much me, too much I,
Right.
and it cost them. They
Right.
don't. They're a cohesive unit. They distribute, they share whatever gets the job done. They get it done. And another thing, going back to what Purdue needs to do to win this game, because Bob, I'm saying it right now. I'm tired of picking Purdue. Sorry, I'm tired of picking Connecticut every time we do this show. I'm done publicly picking Connecticut to win. I'm
You
picking
gotta pick
Purdue
them now.
to win their first title and end this UConn nightmare run. But that
So
being said, on offense, Purdue, I thought they shot okay, nothing special. They're going to need to shoot better, and Edie has to be Edie. Like you made a good point. You suspect that the two centers will neutralize each other.
right,
I agree with that statement.
right.
But if Purdue's going to win, that can't be the case.
That
Edie
can't be the
has to be the
case.
dominant one.
He's got to be the dominant one. And then some in this case, because he's facing a whole team of players that could just beat him any which way. So yeah.
And if NC State's harassing you and you're turning the ball over, you better shore that up because
Hmm.
it could get ugly for Purdue, Bob.
Yeah, I know it. My brother said they're 6.5 point favorites already. I don't know if that's right as we speak, but he told me that last night. He texted me. So it could go up, it could go down. I don't know. I don't think it's going to go down because I can't. Purdue really, it seems like Purdue is just a one-man team. I know they got a good guard, but they're all going to have to play good now. The forwards are going to have to play good. They all are because they're not scared of anybody. They're just not. They could be a 38, team like South Carolina. And by the way, congratulations, they did beat Iowa today. But that game
They
was
did pretty good
Iowa was
game,
up
six
early
point
though.
game.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, was there ever really any doubt about them? No, we said South Carolina. We touched on it. Even Anthony said it.
Undefeated. They've been there each of the past
Yeah.
couple of years. Again, the best team usually wins.
Right. That's what I said about the tournament a long time ago because it has the best of both worlds, Rob, because there's so many schools in it. And these kids, it's a big deal to the fans and the kids, the students. And when they get in it, they go crazy once they're picked. And then if they should go on a run and these teams aren't that good, that makes for Cinderella. So everybody's rooting for them all. Even teams, even fans of other schools are rooting for them, if their school's out. And so that's good. But in the end, the best teams still win once it comes down to the final four. So the NCAA is getting the best of both worlds. They're getting all the hype, they're getting all the views, they're getting the Cinderellas, they're getting the excitement, but in the end, the best team's winning, so they can run back behind. Well, the blue bloods, that's what this is all about. So they're getting the best of both worlds. There's no doubt about it. You know what I mean?
I hear you, Bob. I think again,
Here he comes.
UConn. I believe they've already cemented their blue blood status. They
Yeah.
do the same amount of
Oh,
titles as Duke, and they're literally a blue collar team. So I think no matter what happens, UConn win or lose, that they've established themselves as a blue blood in college basketball,
right.
and hopefully that will disappear shortly hereafter. But they are who they are. Tony, are you with us? You hear us?
I can hear you.
Hey,
Fantastic.
Anthony, how are
So
you?
obviously we're going over the two semifinal games. Anything that stood out to you over the course of the night?
Um, Connecticut did what they had to do. They just pulled away when they needed to. They're pretty much. I mean, they're really good. I mean, Edie and Purdue did what I thought they would do, but I didn't think they were going to do it that easily. You know,
Right.
I mean, South Carolina. I think they hit the wall. They went as far as they could go. They North Carolina. I'm sorry, North Carolina. They went as far as they could go. They weren't gonna. They couldn't take this team down. There was no way.
Right. It was too much, Edie. He was too big and strong and stuff. I told Rob before you came on, he jabbarred them literally. Because when you're that big and that relaxed, and he could just let a little hook in, it's not going to be blocked and it's going to go in more times than not. And that's exactly they tried to sandwich him from two sides. They couldn't do it. He's just a little too good. The rest of the team, though, they better play a lot better if they want to beat Connecticut. And I can't see that. I just can't. I can't.
Right. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I
I
can't.
don't. I mean, like I said all along, I picked Connecticut to repeat,
Right.
and I'm not
We
going to
all did.
change that.
We all did.
But I mean, what did it open already? Opened at what, 8.5, 9?
Is that what it is? I thought you said 6.5 when you texted me.
Maybe it's 6.5. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it's gone up a little.
I
But
believe it. I believe it.
but you just never know. And in one game, anything can happen. If Purdue's guards, I mean, if they shoot like 90% from the field, I mean, make all their threes, sure. I mean, they can stay in there.
Tennessee, or I'm sorry, Alabama did in the first half. They shot 70%. They did.
Yeah,
But
but
in
they
the
didn't
second half,
shoot.
I told you it would come down to their D. They have to close them down. And they finally did in the second half. The refs
Yeah.
helped too, though. But yeah.
Mm.
Hey, did you notice what they said, Anthony, in the first half? What the announcer said? When Connecticut lost a few years ago, Hurley, was their team was defense only. And Hurley went, you know what? We got to get some offensive players in here. And he did. You can play offense and not sacrifice defense if you do it right. He's proven it. And not that, and any good coach has done that. Maybe a few coaches I know offhand want to get some offensive players on their team as compared to being all day. You know what I mean?
I mean, isn't that why UConn brought in Luke Murray, Bill Murray's son? He's supposed to be an offensive guru, and
Is
here they
that right?
are going back to back. So that guy's clearly going to get a head coaching job soon.
Yeah, he's their number one, Ron. That's what I was talking when I met Bill Murray. He's their number one assistant coach in all of college ball. So I think he's going to get a job. I think you're right.
My concern is, Bob, also that again, we talked about, are the centers going to neutralize
Yeah.
themselves?
Yeah.
What if Klingon is the dominant guy? If Klingon asserts himself over Edie, it's game over. There's no chance for Purdue. It
Absolutely.
just seems like Purdue has to have all these perfect variables in play to win, and UConn just has to do what they do, and they got that. I'm worried about this being a blowout early.
Right. You know what's funny you say that because when St. John's played UConn, both had big men and they X'd each other out. But that didn't matter to UConn because UConn just beat you every other way. Their guards destroyed St. John's. And the game was still only a 5 point game. They both scored 90 plus, you know. But you're right. If Edie gets snipped out of that game, crossed out of that game, they're finished because the rest of the team, Connecticut, is way better, way better. So they find ways to win. And with all due respect to guards, the centers are the two teams that have great centers are in it. I still like centers. I do. And when you use them, I really like them. And they're using Edie really well. And Connecticut's using their big guy, coupled with the guards they have. So, mhm.
Yeah, Tony. So what does Purdue have to do to win this, to have a chance?
They have to play a near perfect game. I don't think I think Edie's going to get his points, and like I said, you shut the other four guys out, and you just let Edie get 30. 30 points ain't going to beat you. I mean, Edie could get 30 points and 20 rebounds, and they still could lose the game.
Hmm.
I think personally, the Connecticut's got the better coach.
Wow.
I think he'll outcoach this guy. Run circles around him. Uh, I think Edie's, a beast in the middle, but I don't think he's very quick. I think the guy on Connecticut's real quick. They push the ball, they run the floor, and they do the outlet passes. I got to tell you, I looked at that kid for Connecticut, and he reminds me of one player that I remember in college, Bill Walton.
Oh, that's a big jump. Bill was like nothing we've ever seen.
Well, I mean, but if you see what the kid can do, he can shoot, he can block your shots, he can rebound, he can throw great outlet passes.
He is a good passer. That's true.
He has all the skills that a Bill Walton has, that had. Did I say he was better than Bill? No. Did I say he was as great as Bill? No. But he has those skills. And Edie does not have those skills.
Right.
He is strictly a post man, down low. You go inside, yeah, he'll block your shot. Yeah. He's not going to go outside and hit a three.
You know what Connecticut does too? If the big man doesn't block your shot when you're driving to the basket, the guards and forwards run in and do it. They hustle so much and they will block your shot. You think you have a layup and they'll come up from behind you and block it. He gets
Now,
up on defense.
And as we know, Rob and Bob, the best team doesn't always win.
Right.
And given that, could Purdue win this game? Sure. Are they going to win this game? Maybe. Should they win this game? No.
I think actually, to echo the sentiments you laid out about the UConn center Klingon, Tony, I think the guy is actually pretty underrated. They do talk about him. He's gotten some hype, but I think he's been underrated, and I'm very much concerned he's going to be the dominant center in this game. And for the points over the areas and points you made, he's more versatile. He can do more things, more capable. I mean, who's gonna get in foul trouble quick too? Okay, NC State guy, the big boy Burns, he got in foul trouble quick, and you saw no semblance of an inside out game with them. It was just NC State figuring out they couldn't do, not figuring out anything around the perimeter and missing threes. And if Edie gets a couple chippies early because Klingon is doing his thing, there's too many things that can happen for Purdue to lose, and too few things that can happen for UConn to win. I mean,
Right.
for UConn to lose.
Right. So you're not going to pick. You're going to pick Purdue just because you hate UConn.
I cannot no longer publicly choose Connecticut to win this title. I can't do it. It doesn't matter at this point what if that I think they're going to win, but for choosing on the spot, I got to go against UConn. I got to go for Purdue in their first title. Got to do it.
Yeah, you know what? That would be really great for them if they could pull it. I just don't think they can pull it. You know, I just don't. It would take a lot because they
Yeah,
beat you.
and it
I
starts with
mean,
the turnovers because if they have half the turnovers they had against NC State, it's
yeah,
done.
yeah, you can't do it. And you know, I mean, Bama threw their best shot at them, and they could score. And you know what? UConn figured out a way around it. They're like a rolling river, and you know, with a big rock, they'll just go around it. I mean, they find their way. They win. They know how to win. So, and they're deep. No one's that deep. So nobody else is. I can't see. I just can't see it, Ron.
Yeah. I mean,
I
Alabama.
don't blame you. I mean, it's UConn's an easy pick. It's an easy pick.
Yep.
Yeah. And they've been an easy pick all year.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, and
I think
frankly, I mean, this was their biggest challenge. I mean, who do UConn beat the 16th seed? Then they got Yale, right? Because Auburn lost, I think.
right,
Yeah.
Am I wrong about
right,
that?
right. Auburn choked out.
I know they had San Diego State and,
Mm-hmm.
and Illinois just went into a shell. They were scared. You can't play basketball scared like
Yeah,
Illinois did.
right, right. Yeah,
Well, Connecticut has the best coach and they're the best team. And, Purdue has Edie and one guard who can shoot and show me the rest of the supporting cast. And, I mean, it would take a miracle, for Purdue to win. But miracles happen, that's why they play the game, right? I mean,
right.
could be a big upset, but I just
That would be a big one, actually. Real big.
But I just think, you got to remember Connecticut. Sorry, Rob, but they've won every single game by double figures.
Yeah, I think they're still in the 13 plus range.
Yeah,
Still.
I mean they're double figures every game. And that tells me you don't even come close to beating them.
So it makes me wonder, and I'll pose this to both of you. What are the implications of the outcome of tomorrow? Okay, if Purdue wins, it's their first national championship in program history. It gets the Big Ten back on the basketball map. They haven't won since Michigan State back in 2000. UConn wins. It pretty much sheds all doubt that, all shadow of a doubt that they're a blue blood. I'd argue that they already are, but 6 titles is lock. Uh, what do you think the impact of this outcome is going to have for the coming years?
Well,
If anything, maybe nothing. It's NIL mercenary period, so who knows?
right. Well, if Purdue wins, that gives hope to every other college, I guess. And maybe it'll make a lot of young kids want to go to colleges, not to be, not, but like, because I know when UCLA was great, a lot of other players wanted to go to other colleges to beat them. So maybe a lot of these younger kids want to go to different colleges to try to beat them, you know. But if UConn wins, it's same as always because they're a dynasty and a lot of players probably want to play for them. They'll lock on, I it'll be business as usual, really. I mean, they're done. I mean, my question is, can they do it again next year? Who's leaving? Who are they losing? I don't know. Spencer, they're losing. I know that.
And
But
who are they going to bring in? There's that part
yeah,
too.
that's it. I don't know. And with this crazy, NIL paying play, who knows? They could just start dishing out that money like it's a deck of cards. I mean, I don't know. What do you
Yeah,
think?
no, Syracuse is getting a 22-year-old fifth year next year for center, a big boy from Colorado.
Okay.
And who knows what UConn's going to plug and play with. So
Did he play with the Buffaloes?
Yeah, he did. He did pretty good. He was good in the tournament. He
Okay.
owned Florida in the game.
And where's he going?
Oh, yeah.
We haven't been able to rebound since God knows when, and now the last time we were really superb is when we had a big center who could rebound. So we got that now, thankfully.
Right. Right.
So I missed. Where is he going?
He's going to Syracuse from Colorado.
Colorado
Okay.
center, Eddie Lampkin, about 7 feet tall, 275, 280, big boy.
Right.
He's a bruiser.
Yeah, he's a good player. I like him. Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about him, man? What do you think?
Well, I mean, first of all, I mean, if they win, they're going to have 6, right?
Right.
Yeah, if UConn wins, it's number 6.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they got another 5 to go to catch their women's program.
Right.
5 to go to catch UCLA. Will they'll be tied with what, Kentucky?
No, I think Kentucky has 7, actually, to be honest.
Okay. Kentucky has 7. So they're 1 behind Kentucky.
Right.
The one thing that I will bring up is, given they win this, which I'm pretty sure they're going to. In fact, I bet my house on it, but that's okay. I'll be living in a blue tent on the corner, but the expectations are going to be tremendous that Connecticut continues to do this at a very high level.
Yeah.
And consistently. And
Right.
so far, we haven't seen anybody do it beyond 2 years in a row since
Florida.
John Wood.
Well, wait a minute. What about Florida? They won 2 years. Oh, okay. They didn't
Beyond.
win right. Okay. Right. Because they all went pro. Right. They left a year early.
3.
Right.
Win 3 in a row, 4 in a row,
Right.
5 in a row, 6 in a row,
Right.
7 in a row, as it pains me to say. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I mean, their expectations and their fans are the pressure to do it is going to mount tremendously on Connecticut.
Well,
So I don't see Connecticut doing it anytime soon after this year.
Oh, there you go, Rob. That's going to make you happy.
So
You know
if they
what?
do win, which I hope and pray they don't, they will be tied with North Carolina with 6.
Okay.
So that
And
will put them in a tie for 3rd place all-time national titles.
And Connecticut or Kentucky has 7. Am I right?
Kentucky, I believe, has 7.
Yes, they do.
But the
I'm
thing
kidding.
is, now that UConn is asserting dynasty status,
Right.
I think again look at Alabama. They're not known for basketball. They're just not. Okay, they showed the last time they made the Elite Eight was 20 years ago. Beat Syracuse Sweet 16, and they made the Final Four, first time ever.
Right.
So, but they have more money than God. Just like they spend gazillions on their football program. If these boosters and everything come into play, you're going to see programs that have money that can get good. What if Notre Dame wants to all of a sudden, okay, we want to be a basketball power. They have the wallet to do that. So I'm hoping that what you said, Tony, happens and that UConn doesn't replicate, just on the fact that we're in this mercenary money game, and then all these other programs are going to dump so much more money. I mean, UConn has money, but they're not compared to some of these other programs that really could dump the whole Brinks truck on this thing.
So I guess what Tony was saying was, if UConn does win,
Kentucky has 8 titles, by the way.
they have 8. Oh wow, 8? Really?
Yes.
They basically, he was saying that if UConn wins, it'll be really hard, and you're right, because the pressure mounts. But do you think that the other young kids coming in will want to go to another college to try to knock them off?
I think they're going to go. Show me the money, Bob.
Yeah, well, I know, but what do you think, Ed? Do you think that would be possible?
Well, I think back in the day when Coach Wooden coached at UCLA,
right,
he was the greatest recruiter for the rest of the conference,
right?
Because the kids who he didn't recruit and didn't go to UCLA, went to the other schools to say, okay, you didn't take me, I'm going to beat you.
Right. That's what I'm getting at.
And he made the conference much better. Okay. Now Connecticut's going to continue to make the Big East much better, because everybody now is going to want to either go there to play for them, to think that they can win it all, or they're going to go to the other schools to beat them and knock them off.
Right. Well, St. John's is going to be one of those schools because they're already starting to mount things. I can tell you that. They're
Yes.
pretty
St.
good.
John's is getting the wallet out too.
Yes, they are.
Oh, yeah. Rick Pitino can coach too.
Yep.
When it comes to coaching, he's in my top 5. I didn't say he was 1, but he's 5.
Okay. So what do you think, Anthony, if Purdue wins? What do you think that'll mean for college basketball? If any?
Well, look, it will look good because that gives everyone a chance, even with a bad coach.
Right. Right. Or maybe not necessarily a team that wins a lot.
Even a coach who, in my mind, can't paint the wall. Is his name Painter?
Painter.
Yeah.
Right.
He couldn't paint the bathroom wall when it comes to coaching. But, I think, what did it really do for Villanova when they upset Georgetown?
At first, not all that much, but in the long run, it changed a lot of things. It changed a lot of things for Nova. Because before that, they really went through a long stretch where they weren't very good. And after that, people started looking at them like, hey. And then when, Wright got there, it was all upward from that moment on. So I wanted an upward.
Because Jay Wright was a great
guy. Oh, he was a great coach.
And he was a great coach.
Yep.
That's why. Yeah.
Yep.
But look at the spell. And so what did it really do for Villanova? Villanova's always had a great history of college basketball. Okay. Even back in the 50s and the 60s, they were always in the NIT, which happened to be bigger than the NCAA as I was growing up, going to the old Madison Square Garden to watch the Final Four. Now they got the NIT all over the country. Every year it's in a different place. They're trying to create more money, establish more money. They're moving it all around. I apologize on the last show. We forgot to talk about that big game.
The big game with Seton Hall.
I was happy that the New Jersey team won Seton Hall. But then again,
former Syracuse point guard had a great game, Kadari Richmond. Come back.
Is that right?
Yes.
No, you know what's funny? I didn't realize that Indiana State was up by like 7 points with like a minute and a half to go.
They got outscored 9-0, lost the game by 2.
Right. And I only knew that because when I came out of church, the organist went to Seton Hall and he goes, "What do you think about that game?" And he started telling me, and I'm like, I know Indiana State was close late, but I didn't see how it ended. And that was something else, especially in Indiana.
Right.
I mean, Indiana State was a home team basically. So, that was a good win. I can't believe they did it, but they did it.
Yeah.
I do feel sorry for Indiana State. They should have been in the NCAA tournament. They should have been. And they were.
And then here again, you've got the 2 number ones playing for the championship tomorrow night.
Right.
And the NCAA looks good. Who they put in, who they didn't put in.
Right.
They always come out on top. When you look at it, you had a 2 1s, a 3 and 11.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And that 11, I think they were playing. Those kids played for their coach because they like him and they didn't want him to get fired.
There's a lot of truth in that. That center is really good, though. He's a lot better than a lot of people thought.
Did you hear that a lot of NFL scouts are scouting him now to go to the NFLs as a possible player in the draft? Yeah.
Wow. He's a load. Yeah, I can see
he's quick. And he's quick.
Yep. Right. He is quick. Yep.
He makes you look thin, Bob.
Thanks, pal. No, you know what? I'll tell you what he does do really well. He's so good at when he goes into the lane, you think you've got him, and he'll literally just play like he's playing a horse game. He'll just throw up the shot right in your face, and you can't do anything. He's also It's almost like he's playing by himself. Like, okay, practice in. Nothing phases him. He's got a great touch.
Yeah. And,
I like to get on you. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And I will congratulate South Carolina, and I feel real bad for Caitlin Clark and her Iowa Hawkeyes. But South Carolina was just the better team. I think it was.
Right.
They struggled in their last game, and Caitlin missed some real big threes, and you live by the three and you die by the three, basically.
I wish the 3-point line would die. It's killing every sport, every level. It just got to go. They rely on it. They shoot 35% if you're a good shooting team. And most of the time, these teams are not good shooting teams. And if they would just, I mean, I'll say it again. I saw the Celtics play this year in Philly. They took 49 threes in one game, and they lost the game by 3 points. If they just took 29, which is still a lot, and you take those, you go down low and if you just make 10 baskets out of 20, you take 20 off, that's 20 points. They would have won by 17 points. Like, what kind of math are these kids doing? You go down low. Okay, you're not going to make every shot down low, but you'll still make half of them. So you make 10 baskets. That's 20 points. You don't lose by 3. You win by 17.
Well, I mean, that's all the graduates from the analytics,
Yes.
all the analytics program out of Syracuse.
Oh,
We're not so high on the analytics, Tony. We like our sports broadcasters.
Hey, you're the only school I know that started an undergrad analytics major.
is that right?
Syracuse was the first school to start it. Yes.
Yes, it's all our fault, Bob. Sorry to break it to you.
Rob.
But I would say, as much as I would like to see what you said happen, bye 3-point line, Bob.
Yes.
I think it's more likely that the college will actually extend the line to the NBA line than they will ever get rid of it. I think that's more.
You're just going to move it back so far that's going to disillusion the players into not taking it.
I don't. Hopefully, yeah.
It won't disillusion the players to taking it. It will make the coaches coach the game better.
Well, if you move it back, it's almost like sort of taking it away.
Shots,
Right. If you move it back, it's almost like sort of taking it away because it's so far out, Mr. Curry. And you're right. Then they're going to have to do other things. Like when I talked to the organist today, he didn't remember. I go, you know what? There was a time when you couldn't dunk in college. He goes, really? I go, yeah, for about 15 or 20 years. Yeah. And that was because of Jabbar. He goes, I didn't know that. I go, but it made the players better because they did every other thing. They learned how to play the game. And when they got to the pros, they could do everything, including dunk.
Well, and I've said this for years, the 5 to 15 foot jump shots is gone. I mean,
right.
Very few people can do it,
Right.
The mid-range game is dead, and who knows if it'll ever come back. So,
and the coaching is dead too because they don't coach them; they just let them take threes. That's the game plan. It's basically the game plan.
Right.
It's insane.
But going back to that initial topic a while back where I asked about the implications for the future. Personally, I see no significant implications of either outcome. To me, as long as we have this unregulated NIL situation, the UConn players are going to look for the highest bidder. Oh, look, I'm on the title team. How much you want to pay? Any Purdue players, hey, we made it to the final, we won the title. How much you want to pay? Everyone's going to go where the biggest bags are, and whoever can do that is going to get the best players. That doesn't mean you're going to have the best coach or the best team, but those high caliber players are going to chase the money. So until that changes, I don't see a major impact of this outcome, personally.
You don't?
I don't.
Well, Rob, and you're right. Well, what did I tell you when we talked about it that day? I didn't want the players to be paid because it's going to open up things that we couldn't even say, and it has. So, I just – and you're right. They're going to go to the highest bidder. It's almost like, that's exactly right.
Those Kentucky boosters are going to go, okay, it's nice we got the best freshmen, but let's get some super seniors too.
Right.
Well, if
McCullough's
they
not
don't,
there.
if Calipari doesn't, he'll be in a
Hired?
rowboat floating away because he's going to lose his job if they don't win it all next year.
Well, they have the best class coming in, right? For next year so far? I
They
think
Yeah,
do.
so.
but he has the best class every year, and he hasn't won in how many years?
Right. He won one.
12 long years for the Kentucky Wildcats.
That's right. How am I going to, how are they going to get up to number 12?
Thanks to
Yeah,
call
I
Jeremy.
don't know about the era. I think we might be looking at the end of the era of one and done. I think that could be wrapping up.
Well, of course, Rob, because why leave when you can
When you're
get
getting
so much
paid.
money in college?
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean,
Ask Hunter
why?
Dickinson. Second round
Yeah,
exit. He made a nice page cut.
sure. I
What do
mean,
you see?
listen, some of these kids take a pay cut going to the NBA or the D League, the G League.
Yeah, the kids aren't that good. Yeah. That's what I
Yeah,
see. Football too, not just basketball. I mean, it's unbelievable.
yeah.
But yeah, no, we can. I'd like to discuss a little bit more of the possible future of the game with during our championship follow up, um, possibly Tuesday. So, but we do have to close up shop, gentlemen. Is there anything you'd like to leave parting words with?
I was just going to ask you about your team next year, how you see them, Rob. But
Well, we got a Mickey D's guy coming in. We lost a lot of players to the portal.
right,
If we could get our sharpshooter to try to develop other areas of his game, our small forward, we'd be okay there. I mean, the guy is an unbelievable shooter. We're probably looking at a new point guard, which I'm okay with, even though our guy's talented. He's too selfish and he can't. He's not a good shooter. I'd like to see us get a really good point guard, and it just depends how the portal shakes out. I think I'm not concerned about recruiting for Syracuse. We like I said, we got the Lampkin guy, we got the Bruiser, we got a 7'4" guy behind him. I think we're going to fill in the spots with the right players. It's just can Red Autry execute? Is he good enough as a coach? I like what I'm seeing in terms of philosophy. He wants to bring it back to like the late '80s, early '90s run and gun game we had going on, where we were really good with like Cycli and Derek Coleman, those kind of guys, Pearl
right,
Washington, those guys.
right.
So I
Sean Hall.
like that, but again, can he make it happen? I'm not so sure yet. That's why I'd like to see him get a good bench coach. We need to replace our assistant. Jerry McNamara just took over the Siena job, which is good for him. But you'll ask me after all this portal stuff is cleared up what we're looking at next year.
Right, right. I mean, you can say that about most of the teams. You see, what's UCLA doing, Anthony? Have you heard anything?
Um, they're keeping Mick Cronin. That's all I know.
Well, yeah, I know that too. But I
And,
heard the
and,
going
and the one of the SC guards
he
transferred.
transferred to UCLA.
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw
yeah.
that.
He averages 6 points a game. He's real good.
Well, he didn't play much there, but supposedly he was a big recruit. So, and look, SC had a lot of issues. The coach was terrible, who's now gone. Bronny was sick, but even when he wasn't very good.
And he's
Before
declared for the NBA draft.
yeah, how do you declare? That's another thing. How do you declare for the draft, but yet still keep everything and can come back and stuff?
You can declare, but you have a timeline that you have to say I'm not going, and you go back.
But there is a cutoff date, right?
Yeah, but from what I know, he's not going to stay at SC. He's going to go to Penn State.
Oh, that's what it is. Right. He can actually jump another team.
Yeah,
Okay.
he can
Okay.
go to in the port. He stay in the portal. He did both. He declared for the NBA draft,
Right.
and he put himself in the portal. So
Right. I know we're looking at somebody from Russia who's supposedly pretty good. I don't know who he is though.
yeah, I think his name is Putin.
Yeah, right. Right. He'll dunk on everybody, that's for sure.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, I mean, you're right though, Rob. It depends who's going where. This portal thing changes everything. You know,
That's
it's
it.
changing
And
everything.
Syracuse has an NIL collective that the average fan can donate to. I donate. It's just $11 a month. I
Okay.
support it. Like I
Right.
say, I tell everyone Syracuse fan, okay, if 50,000, if the number of people to fill the dome 50,000 donate the $11, I mean, okay, we're gonna be able to buy some players.
Right.
So you're
Okay.
seeing that too. You're going to see that grassroots stuff. We're just in uncharted territory with this stuff.
Yeah, I know.
You've been ridiculed for the donation. Oh, all the money you spent with this school and you go to the games and all this. How you going to? This is just a grift. Like, well, it's how the
Right.
teams are going to get good now. If you don't, you have to
So
pay to play.
basically, the fans are
That's just the way it
paying for these
is.
players to come in. The school ain't even doing it no more. The fans are doing it. They're
Yeah.
getting a collection together. I
Exactly.
mean,
So this is the world we live in. I'd like to see some order introduced to this chaos, but until then, this is what we got.
it's just what
And
I call
I don't think you'll see any order because every time they try to put in restrictions, they get threatened to be sued and say you can't do that. So everybody just backs off and they just let it go. Yeah.
somebody has to put their foot down sooner or later to stop it because it's just going to destroy everything. It's going to destroy the whole system. I mean, as compared to it
Well,
being already
the
almost destroyed.
NCAA is just a figurehead practically at this point, Bob, but
Yep.
that's a tale
Yep.
for another show. Gentlemen, closing thoughts before we wrap it up.
Tony.
Connecticut in double figures.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of agree with that. You know what?
That's
I mean,
scary. You
Bama played
agree
as
with
good
me.
as they could, huh?
That's scary that you agree with me.
Well, it's scary for me because your picks are so great, if you know what I mean. But actually, no, I want you to pick Connecticut. Rob and I both do in a way because that means we have a shot for Purdue. But I just can't see it. It doesn't matter who we pick, to be honest. They're just good and they're going to win regardless of us. So, I mean, I would love to see Purdue personally. I'm rooting for them, but I know better. They're just I hope he scores 1,000 points and 100 points in that game and breaks Chamberlain's record or ties it at least. But
Yeah, and then they'll lose 101 to 100.
100, yeah, no doubt. But I think they're going to win, and you know, they're
All right, Rob, give it to me.
Well,
yeah,
I
Rob.
wholeheartedly agree with both of you. I'm going with Purdue. First national championship in school history. My boy Tangretti, I know you're out there. This is it. Seize the moment. Save us all, brother. Let's go, Purdue. Let's go, Boilermakers.
Joe Barry Carroll loves you tonight. I'll tell you right now. He's the last time Final Four. Mm-hmm.
Let's
Yep.
make it happen. All right. So, with that, signing off for Bob and Tony here on the sports show with Bob Spino. This is Rob. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night,
You too.
everybody.
Thank you.
We'll see you right after the game. We're going to do another one. Am I right, Rob?
That's right, Bob. Catch you later.